Losing body fat, it's an uphill journey, it's a downhill journey. Now, obviously, if you're watching this right now, you want it to be a downhill journey where you're constantly losing body fat, right? You want to see the number on the scale constantly going down and down and down. Well, I hate to break it to you, but fat loss is not linear, right? There's going to be some ups, there's going to be some downs, there's going to be some adversity, there's going to be some curveballs. That's life in general. But luckily for you, especially if you're trying to lose body fat, today's episode is going to give you so much clarity because we're going to be talking about the number one character trait that you need to have. You need to have if you want to master your fitness journey, if you want to be successful at reaching your health and fitness goals. Now, I do want to say this too. This character trait reigns supreme over everything, even discipline. Honestly, and discipline to me is one of the top character traits there are. But this one, I want to say, is 10 times more important than discipline. Because without this, you're going to be lost in the dust. You're not going to be successful. And with that being said, we're not just talking about fat loss here. I mean in any aspect of your goals. Let's say you want to start your own business or you want to build muscle, right? Maybe you don't want to lose fat. Maybe you want to build muscle and bulk up. Maybe you want to improve your relationships. Maybe you want to, go after something else. Whatever your goals are. Everybody has goals and you should have goals, right? You need to master this character trait. And what is that character trait? Patience. And before we dive into, how you can embrace that and how you can master that, I first want to talk about this. I am in a season of life right now. We all go through seasons of life. I share this with my team all the time. All the members at Heartletics is hey, you're going to be going through stress. You're going to be going through adversity. You're going to be going through curveballs. There's different seasons of life. Some seasons of life is hey, everything is rolling in your direction. You're making great money. You're not injured. You're not sick. Life's great. Everything's great. There's other seasons of life where, hey, you're maybe not making some good money, right? Maybe it's financial hardships. Maybe some other seasons of life where there's a lot of stress. Maybe there's injuries, illnesses, adversity. It's just, that's life. If you had to look back, I'm pretty sure you can count, or I'm pretty sure I should say countless of times where you've been through so many different seasons of life. But yet here we are today, still continuing to show up, okay? At least you are that is tuning in and watching this right now, which is why I want to share with you some tips and tricks on how to just have a better sense of patience on your journey of trying to become the best version of yourself. The season of life that I'm in right now, I just got out of what I like to say is the season of Job, right? If you guys ever, read the Bible or know anything about Job, it's a great book in the Bible. And Job goes through a lot of hardships. In fact, I don't know how Job was able to survive through the stuff that he was going through because, he lost his family. He lost everything known to man. He lost. And if you put yourself in his shoes, you'd be like, holy cow, this dude's still continuing to have faith and, patience and trust in the Lord. And it's great. I always go back to reading Job whenever I need some encouragement, But I got out of that season. And I was like, oh, thank God, I'm out of this Job season. And now I'm in a whole different season of life right now. And if you're a parent, you can probably relate to me. And in fact, if you're watching this, give me some tips. Leave a comment down below because I need your help on this one, right? I'm always pouring in value into you guys, but this season of life that I'm right now, I'm asking for somebody to fill up my cup. I need patience with my 5-year-old son. This is hard. They say, raising a child, it takes a village, and I completely agree, okay? My son is 5 years old, and he loves to test my patience. And I love him to death, but man, there is times where it is hard. He is just, he'll just do these things where it irritates, myself and my wife. And he knows when to push our buttons. We'll say it like that. Or, right, there's other times where it's hey, Oakley, right, that's his name, Oakley. It's hey, let's go do this or let's go do this. And, we kind of want things done faster or more efficient or better, whatever the case may be. And me and my wife, we always have to just sit back and remind ourselves hey, he's 5 years old, right? And simple things like cleaning up after himself. We're teaching him other things like chores and, how to, just all these different things that you had to learn yourself. But if you put yourself in his shoes, 5 years old, he's learning all this first time. And if you think about anything in your life, anything where you have to learn something, it's kind of intimidating because you don't know. Like, sure, there's a lot of things that are easier said than others, but, it's hard. Patience, right? Plain and simple. Myself, for example, right? When I was learning how to play chess, that took years to learn how to play chess because I needed to, first and foremost, master patience. I would dabble in a little bit here, try to learn how all the pieces move and, play a few games and then be like, upset because I wasn't winning and throw away the chessboard. And then sure enough, a few months later, come back to it, right? Patience, right? And eventually it's like, all right, hey, slow and steady wins the race. So the season of life that I'm in, it's the season where I need to, first and foremost, give my son grace and have patience. He's only 5 years old, playing sports, doing chores, cleaning up after themselves. We need to master patience. And that's the season of life that I'm in right now with my son. And once again, if you guys have any tips on how I can be a better father figure for him and have more patience with my 5-year-old son, I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. You can just leave a comment down below, okay? And if you think about your own self, you probably needed to have patience, whether that was like learning how to ride a bike, because I'm sure there's been plenty of times where you fell off, right? Or maybe you had to learn how to play a game. Like I had to learn how to play chess once again, and I needed patience for that. There was maybe a career that you got or a job opportunity where in the beginning, it seemed like it was the hardest thing. Like let's just say you're somebody right now working in IT or sales or whatever the case may be. And there's a certain like SOP, right? Or a procedure that you have to go through, to do things. And in the very beginning, when you're first getting started and you don't know anything, it might seem like a lot. It's very comprehensive, it's confusing, and you're just like overanalysis paralysis, where it's like, what's going on? I don't know how to do this. And it seems crazy at first. But sure enough, right, you have patience, slow and steady wins the race. Now looking back, if let's say you've been in sales for X amount of time or working in that IT job for X amount of time, now looking back, you can do it with your eyes closed, right? It's very easy. But in the very beginning, it was very difficult, okay? So let's talk now about patience on your fat loss journey. And recently, like very, very recently, I was stuck in Florida during hurricane season. And me, my wife, and my 5-year-old son, we were kind of stuck at the Orlando airport. And, there were some different options that we had. We could have, decided to weather the storm, right? The Hurricane Milton, and just decide to okay, hey, we're just going to bear it. Or we can decide to try our best to get a rental car and book it up north back home to Cleveland, Ohio. And that's the option that we did. Because one, and honestly, I just want to say this too. I received a text message from my dad after when we got back home safe and sound to Cleveland. And it almost brought tears to my eyes. Because like way back in the day, it's very hard, right? In that generation, I feel like for parents to say things like, hey, I'm proud of you, or I love you, or something like that. Like, the older guys that I talk to, it's very rare to hear that, from their parents, right? From their dads. And I received a great text message of just encouragement from my dad when we got home safe and sound, just saying like, hey, I'm proud of you. Like, you did what you had to do to get your family safe and sound. Like, and it was hard. It was, because you had to make a decision. And we eventually had to just book it. And that's what we did. Right? Book it up north, and I didn't stop, right? 20 hours straight of traveling, 20 hours straight of driving, and we eventually got there. Up north, we eventually got home safe and sound, and, receiving that text message from my dad, like I said, it almost brought tears to my eyes. I showed my phone to my wife. I was like, look what my dad just said. It's like a kid in the candy shop, right? Just from him telling me that he's proud of me, So I just want to say that. Now, back in terms of us driving and trying to, make it up north safe and sound, I needed to have patience because hundreds of thousands of people are literally trying to leave Florida all at once. And it was crazy, to say the least, okay? Everybody on the freeway is bumper to bumper, going 10 miles per hour, right? Hours and hours and hours. There's people on the guardrails, right, where you're not supposed to be driving at, right? They open it up and they said, hey, we ain't going to pull anybody over. Just leave the state. Like, that is like what you hear about on the news and everything like that. It's just like evacuate. However you got to leave the state, leave the state. So it was crazy. But in the midst of this, right, I needed to have patience because one, I can't just freak out, like my wife is looking at me, my son is looking at me. If I start freaking out, like they're going to start freaking out. And obviously, like this is not a situation where you want to freak out. This is a situation where we're underneath a lot of uncertainty. We're underneath a lot of, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. When is the storm going to hit? Whether we're going to have gas enough to make it up, because where we're at least in Florida, there was no gas at the gas stations. Like it was all out, plain and simple. Everybody was filling up. They weren't bringing any gas into the state. It was, like I said, scary. It was crazy. So I had to stay cool, calm, and collective. But most importantly, I need to have patience. Okay. I also am somebody that like I'm not sedentary for the simple reason of like when I sit down longer for 2 hours, my hips tighten up. And I have a bad back, and so it affects my back, and it's miserable for me, right? That's why I don't like, flying into places and the flight's longer than 3 hours, because it's literally like torture for me. So just imagine driving 20 hours straight, It's hard. It's very hard. But regardless, you need to have patience, okay? Because I knew without a doubt that as long as I just kept on going, whether it was 5 miles per hour, bumper to bumper, as long as I kept on going, I was eventually going to get there. I was eventually going to leave, the state of Florida and eventually make it up north, right, to Ohio, where we could be safe and sound. And this is what I want to share with you, especially if you're somebody on your fat loss journey right now, is you need to master patience. You need to. And once again, right, whether your goals is to lose weight, build muscle, whatever it is, we're just going to talk about fat loss because I'm a fat loss coach, right? This is how I like to help out our members, is lose body fat, build lean muscle, speed up their metabolism, right? Just have more energy, have more confidence, and most importantly, learn how to create sustainable habits that work best for their lifestyle. And in case you guys want any information about that, we have a completely free fat loss guide that you can simply download. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can click on the link down below. It's the first link in the description box. Go check it out. I've helped thousands of guys successfully lose anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds of fat in 12 weeks. And inside that guide, you're going to learn exactly a step-by-step plan on how you can get in better shape as well. Now, side note over, okay? On your fat loss journey, you need to have the right expectations, right? That fat loss is not linear, just like how I started today's episode, which is fat loss is not linear. The same thing applies with me being stuck in Florida, bumper to bumper on the freeway, trying to drive up north. Sometimes, hey, guess what? We're going 80 miles per hour, sometimes 100 miles per hour, because we're literally trying to get out there, right? And then other times, we're going 50 miles per hour. Other times, we're going 15 miles per hour. Other times, we're literally at a standstill. And right now, right, you might be on your fat loss journey, and you might be in a standstill. Right now, you might be on your fat loss journey and only going 5 miles per hour, where you're thinking like, oh man, maybe I should just do this instead. And I want to just let you guys know right now, what I'm about to say next, this is going to be the end all make it for you at having success at reaching your fat loss goals, what I'm about to say next. This analogy is going to hit the nail on the head for you guys. I promise you this, right? The reason why I'm hyping this up right now is because I want you to pay close attention. This is the golden nugget that you need to have, especially if you're trying to lose weight right now, okay? Now, me driving, okay, my family trying to make it up north, trying to make it out of Florida, let's just say we're at a standstill. Okay, let's just say like we're not moving anywhere. We're stuck. At that time, what would move faster? If we were stuck right in that car, not going anywhere, or me telling my wife like, hey, let's just grab Oakley, grab our suitcases out of this rental car, leave the car in park right there in the middle of the freeway and start walking, okay, up north, okay? Now, realistically, yes, we're moving. That car is not. We're walking. But do you think we're actually going to get there? Let that sink in. You're probably thinking to yourself, like, that's the dumbest thing you could ever do. Like, why would you even want to do that? Well, let me ask you this. If you're somebody that is, let's say, exercising, eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, getting plenty of sleep, and you're not progressing on your health and fitness journey, it's almost the same thing. Like, you might be in a standstill right now on your fat loss journey where you're not seeing any progress, but at the same time, it's stupid to just throw in the towel and quit. Or it's stupid to just, hey, I'm just going to go, decide to do this diet instead or this training program instead and jump ship. because you never know when that traffic's going to start going again. And then eventually it's like, hey, you're light years ahead. You never know when your metabolism might start working and speeding up underneath the surface just because you're not seeing, right, the number on the scale go down. You never know what's going on. And this is why you need to master patience. I tell everybody this, right? Fat loss is not linear. You need to understand your body type trends. There's 3 different trends. And this is why inside of our coaching program, how we help out our members, it's not just, oh, here's some workouts, here's your macros, follow this, get in the best shape of your life in the next 12 weeks. No. It's coaching, it's education. On our weekly check-ins, we're diving in with them, specifically their stats, going over, hey, here's your trends just so you know. Because there's plenty of times, right, where you're not going to see progress. But you never know that, hey, it might be something that's going on underneath the surface once again. But understanding your body type trends, this can give you so much reassurance and most importantly, faith and patience on your fat loss journey. So let me break down these 3 trends for you, okay? The first one is this. Let's say you're starting off at 200 pounds, right? You lose some weight, you might hit a little stall, okay? You might lose some more weight, you hit a little stall. You might lose some more weight, you hit a little stall. And eventually, guess what? You lose more weight, you hit your goal. Awesome. That's the first body type trend. It's not a straight shot. Whoosh, starting off at 200 pounds, instantly getting down to like 180. Doesn't work that way. No, right? As you can see, you hit a little stall, you hit a little plateau. That's okay, right? That's perfectly fine. But it's like all of a sudden, do we hit that stall, throw in the towel, quit, or, go do something else? Like, no. Like, we just need to have faith. We need to trust the process and have patience. And sure enough, hey, we will eventually get there. Just like how I eventually made it up to Cleveland, Ohio, right? Plenty of times driving in traffic, we're not going anywhere. Or we're going 5 miles per hour. Or, hey, we're going 80 miles per hour. But regardless, you continue to move forward. You will eventually get there. The second body type trend is this. You're going to lose some weight. You're going to gain some weight. You're going to lose some weight. You're going to gain some weight. And you're going to lose some weight. Now, did you lose weight every single week? Absolutely not. Was it a straight shot all the way down from 200 down to 180? Absolutely not. Right? During those times of gaining weight, you're probably, right, having these mind games with yourself, right? The bad wolf is starting to win. Like, oh, you're doing the wrong things, or, hey, you should do something else, or, see, look, I told you, you're never going to be successful at losing weight. It's the bad wolf. It's the enemy creeping in, right? Lying to you. So that way, guess what? It takes you off track. I promise you this. As long as you keep on going, you will eventually get there. Who wins the race at the end of the day? The tortoise or the hare? The tortoise. The third body type trend, and this is myself. Okay, so for you guys out there that what I'm about to say next, listen, if I can successfully get down to 10% body fat, maintain that for the last 15 plus years, and I'm going to maintain around 10% body fat till I die, right? Because that's just the sustainable habits that I've created for myself that are very easy to do that, in fact, you guys can learn from just downloading that free fat loss guide. I go over the same thing, how to do the same thing for you, okay? This is what you need to keep in mind, what I'm about to say next, because at times, it's an emotional roller coaster. And this is why I tell everybody, don't be worried about the number on the scale. What matters the most is how you look and how you feel. That's the only form of true progression they should be really after. Because this third body type trend, it's hard at times, right? Especially if you're obsessed with the number on the scale, which, side note, has nothing to do with anything at all. If, let's say, you're walking around the beach and you got six-pack abs and a chiseled chest, do you think somebody's going to stop you and say, man, you look great. How much do you weigh? No. Nobody cares about that. They're going to say, man, you look great. What did you do to look like that? You got any tips and tricks for me? The only time they ever want the number on the scale is when typically you go to the doctors and they weigh you. That's it. That's pretty much it. It's only something to do in the medical field. So stop being so obsessed. Nobody cares about the number on the scale. Only you do. Go more so of how you look and how you feel, because that's going to make sure that your head is in the game for the long run. Now, here's the third body type trend. You're going to lose some weight. You're going to hit a little stall. You're going to gain some weight. You're going to lose some weight. You're going to hit a little stall. You're going to gain some weight. You might hit a stall over here. You're going to lose a bunch of weight. You might zigzag and crisscross and whatever the case may be. But I promise you this. as much of an emotional roller coaster it is, as long as you keep on going, you will eventually get to your end destination. You will eventually reach your goals. That's just how it works, my friends. I've been coaching thousands of people since 2017. I can tell you numerous of times, right? Like, this is just how it works for everybody. Now, granted, right, when you have a coach in your corner, it's a little bit easier because, one, they can give you reassurance, right? They can help you with support. They can hold you accountable. They can teach you. They can educate you. But at the same time, they can also see like when there is some blind spots and when you need to make adjustments. Like, if let's just say I'm driving on the freeway, right? We're not talking about being stuck in Florida right now, but let's just say I'm driving on the freeway, okay? And let's just say that it's a normal day outside, but there's a construction zone, okay? Something's going on out there. Well, guess what? Instead of me just waiting in the middle of that road for construction to be over and done with, it might be best for me to take a little detour, right? And so think about having a coach in your corner as like a GPS in your car, where instead of you just staying there for days, maybe even weeks, maybe even months or years, right? That could be, rebuilding a bridge or whatever the case may be, right? Putting new pavement into the, whatever, right? That GPS is going to reroute you. The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. Now, if let's just say once again, you're stuck, you're not seeing any progression, and it's been X amount of times, then yeah, I would highly recommend having somebody in your corner, just kind of evaluating, seeing like, where are you at? Like, what kind of adjustments do you need to make? Do you need to make any adjustments to your macros? Do you need to make any adjustments with your workout routine? Something like that to just help you progress a little bit more, okay? In doing all this, guys, like, I really want you to understand, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you start focusing on your health and fitness goals, it's going to help you out so much in plenty areas of your life. It's more than just losing body fat. It's more than just building muscle. It's more than just having energy. It's more than just having confidence. It's most importantly making your body strong to make your mindset strong. Because when your mindset is strong, this is when, hey, when life throws you curveballs, you know how to roll with the punches, right? There's plenty of seasons of life that you might be going through where, guess what? You got your guard up, and that's okay. That's okay to say, I'm on the defense for this go around. There's other seasons of life where, guess what? Your guard's down a little bit, but hey, maybe we're a little bit more flexible, right? We're bobbing and weaving, right? And then there's other seasons of life where you're fighting back, okay? And I want you to understand this, that your fat loss journey is very similar to any journey that you're going to go through life. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows. But as long as you just keep on going, you will eventually get there. If let's say I'm in the middle of a fight, I'm not blocking, I'm not bobbing and weaving, and I'm not fighting back. I'm standing there with my guard down. Guess what? I'm going to get knocked out. And sometimes that season of life is knocking you guys out and knocking you out of that arena. And then it's like, hey, you'll throw in the towel, you'll quit. And then it's like, oh, you'll look at yourself in the mirror maybe at the next couple months or couple years and realize, oh, I got to do something about this. Or maybe your doctor says, oh, I'm sorry to say this, but you got to start taking medications. You have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. And as long as you would have just continued doing what you were doing before, it would have never got that way. So this is my call to action for you guys. Stop what you're doing right now and just close your eyes and picture 10, 15, 20 years in the future. If you stop doing what you're doing right now, that's progressing you on your health and fitness journey. Like, let's say you stop drinking a whole bunch of water, you stop worrying about your sleep, you stop worried about exercise, you stop eating healthy, you stop hitting your protein goals, you just stopped. You threw that all to the wayside, right? Where is that going to lead you in the next 10, 15, 20 years? For some of you guys that might be watching this, that's scary to think about. Because right now, you might already be suffering high blood pressure, high cholesterol. The next thing might be type 2 diabetes. Some of you guys right now, you might be thinking like, dude, that's a graveyard. And that's scary, especially for you guys that might have kids. It's like, hey, like, what if you have some young daughters? It's like, don't you want to be there in the long run to walk them down the wedding aisle? Don't you want to be there to, see your kid play sports and be able to help them and teach them all these different things about like, becoming a man in life and, expecting, responsibilities for your own actions and leadership skills. It's like, these are things I'm looking forward to as Oakley grows older. Start teaching him different things and just be able to help him through all the challenges that he's going to go through in life because I've already been through some of those storms. That's what makes parenting a lot of fun. And you guys just need to have this friendly reminder on your health and fitness journey that, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses. There's going to be plenty of ups, plenty of downs. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster at times. But, when you have the right people in your corner holding you accountable, supporting you, and you have the right mindset, and most importantly, you just continue to show up. Just like how, when I'm stuck in traffic, right, trying to leave Florida, hey, we're just going bumper to bumper. And that's okay. Maybe that's like that 1% better each and every day. And sometimes that's all you need because you evacuate. You eventually get to that safe zone. You eventually, right, get out of harm's way. Sometimes you might be progressing 5%, 15%, 30%. Regardless, you're moving forward. When you stop moving forward, right, that's when it gets scary. That's when it seems like, hey, your life starts to really take over, right? The stress, the adversity, the curveballs, right? Things aren't going your way because you stop taking ownership. You start taking action. You lose control. And I don't want you guys to lose control. And I'm telling you guys this, right? This metaphor that I'm bringing to you about, your fat loss journey and patience, it can help you out in so many areas of your life. Strong bodies create strong leaders. Why? Because you have a strong mindset. And when you're focusing on filling up your cup and focusing on becoming the best version of yourself physically and mentally, guess what? You can eventually pour more onto others. I want to leave you guys with this. This is, I love every single morning, right? It's actually one of my habits, inside the Heartletics app for myself, to read the Bible at least 30 minutes every single day. And I read this morning from Romans 12:12. It says, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be consistent in prayer, right? Let me repeat that one more time. Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, and be consistent in prayer. And sometimes we just need that friendly reminder that, hey, when things aren't going our way, it's okay. As long as we have faith, as long as we're practicing patience, eventually that storm, that season of life that maybe you're in right now with all the stress, the adversity, maybe that's, financial stress. Maybe that's stress at home with your relationships. Maybe that's stress at work, whatever the case may be. Maybe that's stress with your health. As long as we're patient, we're moving, towards, right, the goal that we're trying to get after. As long as we're practicing that faith, we will eventually get out of that storm. Eventually, once again, hey, guess what? It's going to start to have that sun. Instead of all the clouds, instead of all the rain, instead of all the darkness. Life will get better as long as you're continuing to move forward. That's the moral of the story that I want you guys to understand in all this. So, with that being said, if you guys got any value at all from today's podcast, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. Maybe also shared this with maybe a friend or a loved one or someone on social media where they just need a sense of encouragement because maybe they're going through a storm right now, and we all do. Plenty of seasons of life, and maybe they just need a sense of, hope and inspiration, and maybe they can get that from just hearing this message, and hopefully you guys got that as well. Leave a comment down below letting me know your biggest takeaway as well. Also, if you guys got any tips and tricks on how I can master patience right now in this season of life with my 5-year-old son as a parent, I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. And I would love it if you could just subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, because we're constantly posting new videos every single week like clockwork here. Guys, as always, this has been Coach Joe with Heartletics.com, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.